stream and see if we have audio on Twitch, because sometimes the audio doesn't go to Twitch. So I just need to sit here and wait for the thing, and I'm going to refresh the page because it doesn't seem to want to load the audio. So there we go. We have audio on Twitch. Excellent. And Dementia Radio, and recording in 3, 2, 1.
Recorded live on DementiaRadio.org, it's the Funny Music Podcast, brought to you by FuMP.com, where you can download new free comedy songs twice a week. Now, here's your hosts, Devo Spice and the great Luke Ski.
Hey, Devo Spice!
Hey, Luke Ski! I'm sorry, I didn't realize you stepped away.
We have the Belle Isle Rats in the house, y'all.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Ooh. You both talked and it didn't cut away to either of you. I don't understand Zoom sometime. And we have David W Jacobsen here with us. Hey, David.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. And welcome to episode 752 of the Funny Music Podcast for November 14th, 2024. The title of this week's episode is Questionable Grandfather, and your job is to work that into our conversation somehow. I use a random word generator. It's whatever the random word generator decides the title is going to be. So, all right, let's do the catch-up thingy.
Let's get caught up with what Devo and Luke have been up to since last week. Or else Devo, if Luke bailed and didn't show up.
Hey!
What?
Oh, he's right.
So, Luke, what you been up to? And hang on, before you do that, thank you, Wildcard, for subscribing for 47 months in a row, and thank you, Baramon, for subscribing for 16 months in a row. So, thank you, both of you. All right. Now, Luke, what you been up to?
Well,
There's a hype train going, apparently. I don't know how to get that graphic off the screen. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling well last week, and so I wasn't on the show, so just to back up a couple... Oh, and now Qbert is just nudging my hand, wanting attention, because he's the boy. And now I'm going to give him some pets. So anyway, so let's see. I went to Dapper Day at Disneyland with my girlfriend Kalani. And if you don't know what Dapper Day is, it's an unofficial thing put together by like Disneyland fans, where once or twice a year everyone gets dressed up in like nicer clothing, usually like old timey type clothing, to go to the park and be dapper at Disneyland. And back in, I want to say it was 2017 or so, I did something that was basically meant to be a sort of Halloween costume, but I kind of, in my mind, said at some point I want to wear this to Dapper Day just for the hell of it. And it was, I had Lindsay Smith make me this awesome hat, like out of the base of it was a baseball cap, but she made it look like the top half of the head of Iago the parrot from Aladdin, who I love and is voiced by Gilbert Gottfried. And then I came up with this outfit that was kind of, a regular person outfit, but kind of looked like the way Iago looks. So I've been meaning to go to Dapper Day for years. I just never got around to like getting things together for it. And since Kalani very much enjoys dressing up and very much enjoys Disneyland, she wanted to go to Dapper Day. I'm like, oh, cool, this is finally an opportunity to do that. So I had to order a new pair of red shorts and some new bright orange shoes, which worked perfectly to kind of give me the overall look of the Iago-ness. And then she wore a dress that had a bunch of like parrots on it from the Enchanted Tiki Room. So, and she also wore like a red vest and a Mickey ears with like a little red hat thing attached to it that like matched the color. So we had our awesome, adorable matching outfits and went to Dapper Day. I filmed a bunch of stuff on my phone. And I made a TikTok of it, which I posted on my other social media as well. So go look at my social media stuff and scroll back and look for something from about, can't remember what day it was, like maybe around the 6th or 7th of November, it finally posted, because it took me a while to get to work on it. Let's see, I did a caricature gig in West Hollywood, and the interesting thing about it was, well, actually, here, let me grab something. Meanwhile, Cubert's trying to grab my arm. This thing is right here. As soon as I find it, here it is. So they had these little beer cozy things. So instead of drawing caricatures on paper, they had me draw caricatures on like the little beer cozies. So here's one I did of myself just as a demo. So and they had them in like all different colors and stuff, so you can like carry your beer around with the thing. And it's one of those things where it's like, to me, to get more bang for your buck for hiring a caricature artist to come to your event, just have them draw it on paper, because people can frame that and hang it on their wall forever. It's like, is somebody really going to value and treasure one of these things and even be able to keep track of it when they get home and like use it like, oh wait, let me go get my caricature koozie that I will use forever the rest of my life. So I don't know, whatever. I got paid extra to do it because it was an unusual thing, so whatever. Come to think of it, I should be checking my bank balance for the paycheck for that thing. So anyway, so that was a thing that I did. What were other things that I did? Had the MarsCon meeting. I have gotten organized and started working on MarsCon stuff.
I noticed.
Sending off a bunch of emails to people. Devo responded to the email, which makes me happy. Lots of other people did not respond to the email, which, makes me annoyed. But then again, it is, the middle of November, so it's not like, I'm behind schedule or anything. We got plenty of time. So anyway, if you're one of the people I emailed, respond to the email so that I can add that to my list of information so that I can prepare everything. I also started listening to the live concerts from last year's MarsCon so that I can start making a list of all of the songs that were performed, so that me and Bryn can start editing together the fundraiser album for this year. So I have all that to look forward to. I have now reorganized my to-do list. God damn it, Hubert. I have now reorganized my to-do list by month. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. You.
All right, Moses, go get him. Go get him, Moses. Take care of business. Go get him.
And that lucky panda just subscribed. Thank you, Lucas.
Yeah. Here, I'll just do this while I'm talking. So,
nice.
Here, this. Do you want this? Do you want this? No, you want my arm. You want to sink your little claws into my human flesh and draw blood during the FuMPCast on camera. That's what you want to do. All right. Anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah, MarsCon stuff. So yeah, I've organized it now by month, and I'm pretty well on my way with all the things that I should have gotten done in September and October, and all the things I should get done by the end of November, and then I have more things to do in December. So I'm feeling really good about that whole situation, because I want to have the fundraiser. I want to announce the whole track. Oh, that's the other thing. I've been waiting for the people involved. We have a sponsor this year that's sponsoring our music guest of honor, and so basically it's been a whole thing of making sure that because MarsCon is covering some of the costs, the sponsor's covering some of the costs, and then there's the guest of honor act involved, which if you were at FuMPFest, you know who that act is, but I'll not say it here for the sake of making it a surprise when the actual announcement comes out for those who weren't there. And I've been waiting for them to, they have an agreement, and it's been going back and forth and making sure everyone's agreeing to it and signing it and all that stuff. So once I've heard that they're officially signed and it's all booked, that's when I'll make the announcement that it's happening. And who knows, by the time they get that all signed and stuff, I might have, the whole rest of everyone else coming, to the track figured out. So maybe I might be able just to announce the whole lineup at that point. But we'll see what happens. So, again, I'm starting to work on the fundraiser album. So I want to get that done, at basically according to my new organizational chart, it's supposed to be released, sometime during the month of December. So as long as I get it out by then, that means I'll have, like December, January, February. I'll have a good at least 3 months to promote the thing. So yeah, we can try to hit those goals. So that's the thing I've been working on. I saw the movie The Substance, and I don't want to ruin anything for Devo or anybody else, but holy crap, it's an amazing movie. It's it's horror, but it's got great social commentary as well. I'd love to see. I think a great double feature would be Barbie and The Substance, because all of the men who were complaining about how men were portrayed in the movie Barbie, wait till they see The Substance. Oh my God.
My acting teacher was talking about The Substance, and I asked him if it was anything like The Stuff, and he just stared at me and went, no.
So yeah, I also saw Venom: The Last Dance, and that was all right. So anyway, and I saw various doctors and dentists and things, and I'm getting crap taken care of, with all of the medical things I'm doing. I feel like some kind of a questionable grandfather, but that's just me. So, what have you been up to, Devo Spice?
Well, I finally got the first episode of Random Acts of Horror out for my Patreon backers, of whom I have one so far. So, in an effort to kickstart the Patreon, I've lowered the price to $2 for the first 5 people who sign up, and I've had one person take advantage of that so far. So, if you didn't hear about this, you can go to patreon.com/randomactsofhorror and sign up and get episode 1 now. But episode 1 will be released to the public tomorrow anyway, so you can just wait and see what it's all about. I watched the Resident Evil series that was on Netflix. I don't know why I felt the urge to watch that, the 2022 series, and really enjoyed it. And I couldn't figure out why that series was getting so much hate, when it first came out. But I liked it. I also saw a play called The Trick to Happiness, which is a play that my acting teacher wrote and directed, and a bunch of my friends were in. So I went to see that last Sunday night, and it was funny. My acting teacher, man, how to describe his writing style? Picture Trauma with less taste, and that's basically.
Is that possible?
I mean. I could describe some of the things that happened in this play, but I don't want to on this on this podcast. I'll tell you offline. Yeah. So, but it was a funny play. But the big news around here, I know I've mentioned this on this podcast. I don't know how much detail I've gone into, but do you remember me telling you that my next door neighbors were drug dealers?
I think so, yeah.
House got raided yesterday morning. Finally. Finally. Because we've been complaining about them for years, and the police just never seemed to care. And I don't know whether they were just, trying to figure out who their suppliers were to go further up the supply chain, or if they were just waiting until they had, a rock-solid case against them or whatever. But yesterday morning, I went out to walk the dogs, and there were 2 cars parked in front of their house facing the wrong way. And my first thought was, they have early morning customers, today. And then I looked at the cars again, and the windows were completely blacked out. And I'm like, oh, those look like unmarked police cars. And then we kept walking, and around the corner, because they have the corner lot, were 2 marked police cars. And I'm like, oh, okay. So in the course of walking the dogs, I got to watch 2 of my neighbors get let out in handcuffs and taken away. So
a happy ending.
Yeah. Reportedly, they're already out on bail. So, yeah. And I'm sure it'll be 5 or 6 years before their case goes to trial. So you know how the swift action of justice goes, but they finally did something, and I actually read up on the charges and everything, and there's quite a few. They're all related to possession and distribution. One of the guys is also facing like money laundering and weapons charges. So it could be substantial jail time here if they're all convicted. But so that's been the big buzz around the neighborhood is what happened yesterday morning around here. Mm-hmm. So that's it in my little world. So Rats, what have you guys been up to?
Big news. We just wrapped up the latest project's recording.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, Tom actually drove out from Detroit. So Monday and Tuesday, we were actually in a real studio this time. The studio that's one of my piano tuning clients, and we put the drums down for 4 songs, and then last night we recorded the vocals and did video for our song that Tom is going to sing, which will probably be the next thing we play the next time we're on the show. Some new stuff. So anyway, it was a lot of fun, and it was a great time, and just for the first time it's kind of weird being in the studio because we're used to doing everything by ourselves and being on our own time. And this guy was an engineer. We were paying him and everything, but somehow we felt like we don't want to mess up in front of the engineer. You know what I mean? Because we're just so used to doing it on our own.
He's a professional. He knows what he's doing. We don't want to look bad.
And he is. He's done some major league stuff. And in fact, the studio we recorded, it's the original studio where the Dr. Demento show was recorded back in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
For many years.
Nice.
Yeah, the same studios.
Yeah.
So.
And what phrase leapt out of my mouth when we were leaving the other... Oh, I apologize to him for having to suffer my hackery.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
It was a lot of fun, and there'll be 7 new songs here within the next couple of months. So we kind of work in an odd way. Years ago, he would just drive out. We just hang out at my house for 2 weeks, and just be open ended. He had the summers off because he's a teacher. But now we got to be very efficient, very tight with our time, and have everything tightly scheduled. Okay, we're doing drums this day, vocals this day, video this day, and but it all works out great. So where are you now, Tom? You just left
Paso Robles.
Oh, you're Paso Robles, okay. North of LA.
I hit a couple of wineries on the way out here to taste and just squeaked it in under the wire to get a room before. I wasn't sure if I was going to be doing it from a gas station or what. Then I figured I'd get a room after, but I just snuck in under the wire.
That looks like a typically swanky room for you.
Actually, it's not too bad. But price-wise, it's about as good as I'm going to do in this area. But it is not a pillow booger.
Good. That's our name for a cheap pillow booger inn. It's sort of a generic name for a bad hotel. And Tom is famous for staying in those, being the frugal type that he is.
The play that I saw last weekend took place in a pillow booger. I like that. I'm going to have to use that because I have a habit of staying at those places.
You're free to borrow that. So.
It's a perfect description for a bad place.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
So,
all right. So, Dave, what have you been up to?
Same old. Got a little bit of music coming out, though it's less of my comedic stuff and more of my less comedic stuff as well. It's called The Tree Falls. It'll be out in a couple of weeks. I always put out something in December every year, so. It's ask the question, if a tree falls in a forest, does anyone give up? The answer is no. They don't. But there's that. A couple.
But that's not a comedy song, but it seems like a funny premise. Yeah.
The 13-minute prog rock epic of failed dreams and the indifference of the universe. With some cynicism that's vaguely amusing in there, but
I heard a great corollary to that one. It was, if a man speaks in the forest and his wife isn't there to hear him, is he still wrong?
I've heard that. So speaking of your funny stuff, you did post a song.
Yeah, Thanksgiving number, right?
Yep. Give it. Well,
Yeah.
Guitar Guy. I don't know if it's.
Oh, that's this one. Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
So yeah, give us a quick intro to this one. And we will give it a listen.
This one's Guitar Guy. I can't remember. Okay, yeah. This is an homage, tribute, a parody or a rip-off, whichever you prefer, by a very famous song by a guy from Long Island. And in his song, the people at the bar really appreciate the musician and what he's bringing to their lives and how he's, bringing a little levity. But I play a lot of gigs, and that's usually not the experience that I have performing live. It's usually, can you shut up? We're trying to watch the game and, play some Skinner. But that's the premise of the song. I hope someday to receive a cease and desist letter from a William Joel. And that's pretty much what that is.
Well, maybe we can make that happen for you. All right, here is Guitar Guy by David W. Jacobsen.
It's 8 o'clock on a Tuesday. A couple of bums stumble here. There's some middle-aged guy, barely conscious. He's working on his 11th beer. He said, dude, can you play Dave Matthews? Maybe something by the Doors. So I start with Love You 2 times, but then he passes out on the floor. Sing us a song, you're the guitar guy. Sing us a song we know. Though we're not really listening anyway, we've just no better place to go. And Tom at the bar, he's a bitter fool, but he only charges me half price. He's got lame jokes, but he listens to folks, though please don't take his advice. He said, man, this place blows, I want out of here. And he looks rather glum and sad. I'm certain my screenplay could make it big, but it won't. In truth, it's quite bad. Saul sells condos in New York. He's too neurotic to get anyone in the sack. And he's hanging with Arnie, who was in the army before his dishonorable discharge for crack. And the waitress is sleeping with the manager, and the finance guy's doing some blow. They're sharing a drink called Desperation, but really it's just a cheap Merlot. Sing us a song, you're the guitar guy. Sing us a song we know. Though we're not really listening anyway, we've just no better place to go. It's a dismal crowd for a Tuesday, but the manager doesn't seem to mind. 'Cause I'm not getting paid, he just got laid by the waitress whose shift ends at 5. The whole place smells like cheap alcohol. It's the most depressing dump in the town. At their drinks they sip, no one leaves me a tip, and they say, man, could you please turn it down? Sing us a song, you're the guitar guy. Sing us a song, you know. Though we're not really listening anyway, we've just no better place to go. Sing us a song by the Beatles, or maybe the Rolling Stones. The only reason that we're even here is it's even more depressing at home. Sing us a song, actually, never mind. In fact, if it's all the same, do you mind just calling it quits now? 'Cause we'd all rather watch the game.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
So this,
You never know who the question people at the bar might be. You might get a questionable grandfather in there.
indeed. So you did this one a little different. It's a parody, but you didn't like match the original melody or tune exactly. Like, it's clearly written to be a parody of Piano Man, but you changed the music like enough that I don't think you're in any danger of getting a cease and desist for this one.
Yeah, it's when that happens on The Simpsons, they're the person who's been making their music, or at least was for the majority of the run, was a musician, like the main composer, whatever, named Alf Clausen. So like every so often, when I hear a song like that, I'm like, oh, they Alf Clausened that song. Okay.
I did a ascending bass line instead of a descending bass line, and used different chords. The lyrics are modeled almost exactly as a mirror of that one. So.
Yeah, so it's recognizable as, Piano Man. It's just not an exact, Weird Al accurate copy of the music.
Yeah, that was intentional. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. We don't get a whole lot of those on the FuMP.
It just adds to the whole jaded aspect of it. It's like a jaded Piano Man.
Pretty much.
Exactly.
I mean, I played plenty of bars, and I mean, sometimes you get a couple people who are interested in you, but most of the time these people are just bored. And
yeah, I stopped doing bar shows for this exact reason, because I'm up there trying to do comedy and nobody's listening to me, so it's not working. So it's like, why bother, So I gave up on them.
Yeah, you can't. I do my non-comedic songs when nobody's paying attention. You do a couple comedy songs, see if anybody looks up, and if they don't, then it's just on to the dreary material.
You just gotta hit them with old time rock and roll, and then that's it. Then they'll all be up there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's why my area, northern New Jersey, is like cover band hell. If you're not in a cover band, nobody wants anything to do with you. And this is why. It's because there's all these bars and they just want cover bands, because they just want background music that people can sing along with, and that's all there is to it.
I had a good friend, a really good piano player, and he used to play at Nordstrom's. There was a Nordstrom's department store, and they used to have live piano players during the shopping hours, and nobody was listening. So his antidote to that was he'd be playing a song, and then for 8 bars, he'd play the melody a half step higher than it should be, and the chord, the chords are in C, but he's playing in C sharp. So he would just do that to see if anyone was paying attention. Sometimes they would, other times they would just walk right by. But that was his little way of keeping it at least entertaining for himself.
Yeah, that's how Sea Monkey got his start too. Was because he was doing karaoke, and it was the same thing. If you're at a bar doing karaoke, unless you're really really good or really really bad, most people don't pay attention to you. And so what he would get up there and do parodies of the songs, and they were the most outrageous, offensive parodies you could think of. That got people watching him, and that's how he, started building his audience. So it worked for him. But performing in bars, not fun if you're a comedian. Carla actually has a bit about it too, where she says, would you rather people pay attention to what you're doing, or would you rather get paid? Because those seem to be the options.
Got to pick one.
Yep.
I always enjoyed. I played in bars for many years too, out in L.A. And my wife would come to the gigs, and it was always fun watching my wife get hit on while I'm up there playing. But she handled herself well. But so that was always one of the unfun aspects of the gig, among others.
Yeah.
I used to play with this guy named J.J. Jackson. He had a big hit in 1968 called "But It's All Right," and we play the opening riff to his song. It was dum, dum, bim, and I was like, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. J.J. Jackson," and he'd still be in the bathroom, and I'm up there playing the riff. Dun, 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 where's J.J.? Well, he come running up, shoving his hands in his pants, tucking his shirt back. So, what were you doing in there? You do know you're supposed to be on stage at 9. That happened many a time.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that would probably get people's attention at the bar, right?
Yeah. He was definitely a questionable grandfather.
So yeah, so I take it this is mostly inspired by just true events because you've been in this situation.
I mean, it's largely. I mean, the sentiment is inspired by true events. The actual lyrics are really a mirror of actually the Billy Joel song, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's the pretender. Instead of getting free drinks, he's getting them for half price. You know, instead of Navy in the Navy, there's Arnie in the Army, and they're sharing a drink called loneliness. They're sharing a drink called desperation, but really it's a cheap Merlot. It's just following. It really follows the Billy Joel song, and basically just twists it a little bit each time, and changes the characters' names and shifts stuff around a little bit. But real estate novelist who never had time in his life, sells real estate, too neurotic to get anyone in the sack, so it's just basically following the Billy Joel song.
Have you done any other of these like pseudo parodies?
I have an album about presidents, which isn't explicitly funny, but I have so it's a mix of like historical stuff. There's 1799, which is basically Prince's 1999, but it's John Adams singing to Alexander Hamilton.
Okay.
We led the Federalist Party in 1799. So, it's kind of amusing, but not so much hot. Yeah. I don't know if I'd submit it to the FuMP because it's basically, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
if it's something that's already been released years ago, we're not too interested in that. We like new stuff whenever possible. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, dug the song. Very funny, very relatable. It's for a musician. I don't know if non-musicians can relate, but yeah, screw them.
Yeah, exactly. You guys have me on. I actually got to put the kid to bed in a few. So, but,
okay. So, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
New record coming out. There's a few vaguely amusing songs on it. I'll submit one or two when the time comes. But if you're a musician who's a bit jaded by the level of success that you have or have not received, you might appreciate the album on another level. It's going to be called, like I said, A Tree Falls. It's in a tree falls in the forest. Would anyone hear it? If I, to make a sound. If I release an album and nobody hears it, doesn't make a sound. This is where the tree fall comes in that one. Yeah, in a couple weeks. And,
all right, sounds good.
Wherever CD Baby wants to put it. So.
Yep. All right, cool. Yeah, let us know when that's out. We'll mention it on in the news.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and we will catch you next time. And let's do some news.
Look at all the tasty people.
This is the FuMP.
Hannibal Lecter, he's eating liver, Chianti, some nice fava beans. This is his dream.
Me hate your cookies, stop freaking asking me. Me reject all your cookies, though you ask me constantly. Screw all your cookies, evil corporate entity. Oh, you and your cookies can all suck it. Hey, you know what?
It's got California class and Roddenberry style as we're cruising every prime timeline, light mile. But forget about the bridge and come on down, my friends, cause the lower decks is where the real action begins. And time again, the junior staff has always proven that they keep the ship afloat, cause lower decks keep it moving.
Lower decks, lower decks, lower decks.
Lower decks keep it moving.
Lower decks, lower decks.
That's the Funny Music Project at thefump.com. THEFUMP.com. Funny.
Time for funny music news. Something.
In the news, last week I spoke a bit too soon about archive.org being back up. It was up and it did allow logins, but it did not allow uploads, so I wasn't able to upload the missing shows just yet. But it did go up at some point during the week, so I have now uploaded episodes 747 and 748, so those should be showing up in your podcast feed soon if they haven't already. I will be uploading all the missing episodes at a rate of 1 per day so that the podcast software can catch it as it gets posted so you don't miss any episodes. And hopefully we'll be caught up in a few days. In actual news, Riki Lindhome has announced her first solo album, which will be coming out March 14th, called No Worries If Not. The album explores themes of family, aging, motherhood, and more, all with Lindhome's trademark wit and dark humor. So keep an eye out for that. And that's all I have for news. Anybody got anything before tour dates?
I have something.
Go for it.
Well, Ian, as he has been doing for a very long time, his series of A Comedy Musician Reacts videos. Well, today I woke up to discover that his newest A Comedy Musician Reacts video is about both the song Hot Topic by That Lucky Panda, but first he covers Lower Decks Keep It Movin' by the Great Luke Ski. So that was really cool. I watched it right away, and during it, Ian had a lot of questions that he needed answered during it. So I set up my video camera, and I filmed and have now posted A Comedy Musician Reacts to A Comedy Musician Reacts, where I am reacting to Ian's video by pausing it and answering all of his questions and giving other bits of trivia that I haven't said anywhere else in that video on my channel. So go to Insane Ian's YouTube channel to watch A Comedy Musician Reacts to Lower Decks Keep It Movin', and then go to my channel to watch A Comedy Musician Reacts to A Comedy Musician Reacts to Lower Decks Keep It Movin' by the Great Luke Ski by Insane Ian. So this is what's being known as needlessly meta, and it's what I do. So go check those out if you have lots of spare time and an interest level that is high enough for such a thing.
All righty. Tour dates. On Sundays in Nashville, Tennessee, Steve Goody hosting at the Bluebird. I'm assuming he's back doing this now. I got to confirm with Steve. Sundays online, Two Sleeps. Mondays online, Steve Goody and Brad Tassel at virtualcomedyshow.com. Mondays and Tuesdays online, Bill Larkin. On the 15th in Morristown, New Jersey, Carla Ulbrich. She's performing with John Forrester and Christine Lavin.
Wow.
I'm going to try to go to that show. The 15th and 16th in Medford, Oregon, Phil Johnson and Roadside Attraction. On the 18th in Portland, Oregon, Phil Johnson and Roadside Attraction. On the 20th in Long Island City, New York, David W. Jacobsen. On the 21st in South Orange, New Jersey, Carla Ulbrich. On the 23rd in Bend, Oregon, Phil Johnson and Roadside Attraction. And on the 27th in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, Carla Ulbrich. All right, Rats. Tell us about your song and we will give it a listen.
Well, it's called If Elvis Wasn't Dead, and of all the song titles we have, this is probably the most self-explanatory of all of them.
Yep.
All right, here is If Elvis Wasn't Dead by the Belle Isle Rats.
From Hollywood, The Tonight Show.
Well, his girth would be intense. He'd have a list of ailments. He'd be singing "Don't Be Cruel" while he's wearing dip pens. He might be more complacent since the hip replacement. Whoa, if Elvis wasn't dead, he'd stand in line for something free and drive a Mercury Marquis. He might even be a spokesman for the AARP. On a couch at Graceland snoozing, computers would confuse him. Whoa, if Elvis wasn't dead. Heartbreak Hotel is now Comfort Inn, and Viva Las Vegas has a lot more sin. Rock and roll's been shipped out to the hood since Elvis left the building for good. He wouldn't care about reviews, 'cause he'd have an attitude. And Dr. Scholl's inserts in his blue suede shoes. He'd show up at the eye Oscars in his roving boxers. Whoa, if Elvis wasn't dead. Take it away, Joe. Well, if he knew how much things cost, it would really piss him off. And he would stop to say hello. He'd probably tell you to get lost. He'd be the king of all curmudgeons, and he would not be budging. Whoa, if Elvis wasn't dead. Yeah, if Elvis wasn't dead. Yeah, if Elvis wasn't dead. Thank you very much.
You're right. I think that is the most self-explanatory title for a song since Getting Shot in the Face Sucks by Worm Quartet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. Not much needs to be said. But
So I looked it up. Elvis would be 89 right now.
yeah, that's why we usually celebrate the 47th year and third month after he died. It's kind of a standard annual thing that we do that particular time. But I mean, like a lot of people my age, I pretty much grew up with Elvis. My mom was like the hugest Elvis fan, so there was like lots of Elvis in the house, and that song really started off. There was like two things that happened. I just got the idea for the title one day, thinking about it, and then I was playing around with this new piano plugin that I got, and I noticed it did that like high Heartbreak Hotel. Kind of pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that those two things, if it was just one idea, that probably wouldn't have happened. But those two ideas together, hey, that sounds like Heartbreak Hotel. Hey, that could work for the Elvis song. Sometimes it's a synchronicity of two disparate events that makes a song come into fruition.
Yes. A synchronicity of stupidity, as it might be.
Exactly. But so
I like that. I might have to use that somewhere.
I mean, nothing really else much to be said about it. I remember it was fun to do, and I just remastered it so it'd be a little bit louder because I noticed that song was done in a while. It was like really quiet, so I just ran it through a couple of limiters and mastering processors to kind of kick up the volume on it. It seems to kind of fatten it up a little bit.
You know, I noticed that because whenever I do this show, I go on YouTube and look to see if there's any videos that I can pull down for this. And I found the version, I guess, that CD Baby posted of this song.
Yeah.
And the other thing I do is I always compare the version on the FuMP with the version on YouTube, and just to make sure it's the same version.
Yeah, right.
And when I heard the one on YouTube, it was substantially softer than the one on the FuMP, and I was like, maybe it's an updated mix or a new version or something. So I downloaded the version on the FuMP and used that, and just made some artwork.
Cool. Yeah, because I was noticing like the song after was like way louder, but nowadays we've got these mastering processes that make it super easy to crank it up super loud and still keep it fairly clean. I mean,
yeah,
God, I probably got 5 or 6 different mastering processes. My cats are beating the crap out of each other. Guys, settle down. They're boys anyway.
Yeah, I've discovered like there's a sweet spot when it comes to like dynamic compression in mastering, because if you overdo it, it starts to sound like you're playing it underwater. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah. Right. If you put too much compression, you'll get that artifact, and also it starts bordering on distorting too. But and I've got like 3 or 4 mastering processes, and they're all good for different. There's not one of them that is the best answer for everything. One of them works good on one, but it sounds like crap on another one. I'm not quite sure why that is, but so I'm always messing around with 3 or 4 different mastering processes to see which one does the best job on that particular song.
Yeah, years ago I did a parody of a song by this terrible rapper named Soulja Boy. I did it about getting the flu, and while I was working on the music was just super simple and basic. It was basically just drums and like a little bit of a bass line and like a little keyboard of something. And so I'm playing everything, but like it doesn't sound anything like the original. I'm like, I know I got the right notes. It's, you know, as close as I can get with the sound. So I'm like, wait a minute, his version is compressed to hell. So I went in and I cranked up the dynamic compression like almost as far as it would go, and I'm like, yep, that's the sound. That's it. That's what they did.
Yeah, that's what they do. Yep. Yep. I never forget the first time I found. I mean, we're getting a little inside baseball here for those of us who record, but first time I ever found this 1176 plugin that simulates the famous compressor, and I put that on drums for the first time. I was like, holy crap, that's the sound I've been hearing my whole life. Drums through that particular thing that I've got this digital version of.
Yeah.
It's like revelatory moments. That's how they get that sound. They put a compressor on this particular type of compressor on there. So we've just alienated anybody who's not a recording musician here with this conversation.
It's fine. Yeah, and I discovered that whole technique back in the mid 2000s when I was mixing my song Ozman, and which was it's a heavy metal rap song. It's a parody of Iron Man by Sir Mix-a-Lot that Luke is on. He does Beavis and Butthead voices on it, and Ozzy Osbourne voices on it. And
I do lots of voices on the thing because it's very good. It's very Sharon.
Yeah, he does a lot of that. It's great.
Nice.
But like while I was mixing the song, I couldn't get the guitars to sound good. Like it was either the guitars were way too soft or way too loud, and I would only adjust them, 1 dB in the faders. And it was either way too soft or way too loud, and I couldn't get it right. And so I did some research, and that's when I discovered dynamic compression. And it turns out if you mix it and compress it, that's how you get the guitars to sound full without overpowering all the drums and everything. So for the people who were around back then, that's why there's like 5 mixes of Ozman because I was trying to get it to sound decent.
I'll tell you, the whole mixing, mastering part of the song can just make you insane.
Yeah.
So you get so finely attuned to every little thing. Oh, the snare drum is like a tiny bit too loud. We got to bring it down. Or you get the more you listen, the more little details you hear that drive you out of your mind. It's like I'm sure you've heard the famous story of Michael Jackson's Billie Jean. They did like 187 mixes. Michael kept coming back to Bruce Swedien, the engineer. Oh, I need to do more. They ended up using mix number 2. After all those mixes, that's a legendary story. That's true. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
Normally what I do is I'll do a mix down and then I go for a ride in my car and listen to it in the car.
Yes, the car test.
Yeah, the car test. It's amazing, like what you hear different in the car. That like all of a sudden it's like, wow, that snare is way too loud. I got to turn that down.
Yeah. Today I was in the car. I was listening to the song that Tom and I recorded yesterday, which will be the next thing you hear. I'll keep it a surprise, but it's a Thompson. Everything you love about Thompson Loco's vocals is on display, full on in this song, and it's actually the longest one. It's like just under 6 minutes. This thing we did.
Nice.
Oh, it's a tour de force, if I do say so myself.
But it's not a 13-minute prog rock song about trees falling in the woods, is it?
No.
No.
I think David's got that covered. So
only questionable grandfathers listen to that.
Is this a historical show? Is this the first time every single person on the show has used the catchphrase at one point or another? I know Luke was first.
I think so, although I haven't said it yet, so I'm going to say questionable grandfather.
Hey!
Whoa!
So yeah. So Lee, if you want to start keeping track of who says it, I'm kidding, Lee. I'm kidding. Like you do enough for us.
There's got to be some kind of historical commemoration here for that.
So do you guys have anything you'd like to plug?
No. Not now, but we will. I know every time we do a project, I keep saying I'm going to do more this time to push it out there. It just takes a lot of work every day doing it out. We're going to do more videos this time. We already did a video for the song I just mentioned, the 6-minute opus. We did that yesterday, but my goal is to this particular project just get it out there more. And you know what you got? You got to go viral on TikTok somehow. That's what's got to happen. That's for something to get this day and age for music or anything else, something's got to go viral on TikTok. That's how it happens.
Yep.
The whole idea of record companies and gatekeepers, those days are gone, man. Nowadays, what you got to do is just turn the camera around and do your thing and put it out there and see what happens.
Yep.
That's just it.
I'm trying. We'll see what happens.
We're all trying. So, and again, like I say, when you factor that in, like 100,000 songs get uploaded to streaming services every single day. Competition's a little fierce, and it's a little tough to rise above all that.
A bit, yeah. Especially since like half of them are AI generated now.
Yeah, like it used to be, hey, you want to hear my song? Yeah, I'll listen to your song. Nowadays, hey, I got a song. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah. People's interest in your original songs, even if they're good, are like very, shall we say, minimal.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many other competing interests and whatnot that
Yeah, and who wants to just listen anymore? They got to have a video.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
All
where
right.
we are.
Let's do some news. Wait, did we? Oh,
We already do the news?
we did the news. Let's do some feedback. That's what I meant to say.
I have
Making the internet absolutely ridiculous. Dementia Radio.
www.dementiaradio.org. Port 8027.
Please hang up and try again.
This is the part where there's feedback. Feedback. You know that segment of the show we do about now? Feedback. Feedback.
What were you going to say, Mike?
I was going to say, I need to take off to go to a choir practice here.
Okay.
So we'll see you. But awesome. We'll see you guys later.
All right. Thanks for coming.
See
Yeah,
ya.
no problem. Take care.
Always fun. Thank you.
All right. You taking off too, Tom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just curious, before I go, what town do you live in?
Me, Hamburg.
I think, is that anywhere near Westminster?
No.
I think it was Westminster. That's where I was not that long ago in New Jersey. Just checking.
I'm not far from West Milford, if that's what you
Nope.
that's what you meant.
That's not it.
Okay.
That's not it. Anyways.
All right.
See you next time.
See you.
Thank you.
See ya.
All right. Feedback.
For who could ever learn to love a beast?
Okay, this is feedback on episode 747. Father Beast wrote, actually, Spock's pet Salat was referenced in the original series episode Journey to Babel. His mother mentioned it and said it was like a big teddy bear. While McCoy was chuckling at this, Spock says something like, on Vulcan, the teddy bears are 6 feet tall and have fangs. So sorry, Spock's pet Salat isn't necessarily a TAS reference. So the animated series reference.
Well, thank you for the correction, Mr. Beast.
Thank you, Father Beast.
A questionable grandfather beast.
Oh, God damn it. All right. Over on YouTube.
A-Log! Oh my god, it's you, not again!
A-Log wrote, hope you guys are still recovering from the election. I know I'm still trying to come to terms, but at least I can bring off some joke warfare. Also, glad to see Robert Lund back in the game. Didn't know he was in retirement until now. But hey, as long as both he and Spaff still got it when it comes to parody music, I'm a happy guy. As for Kerplunk's new song, I suggest you guys send that to radio stations in Europe. I'm sure it would be a hit over there. Stay strong and let the weirdness consume you, and hopefully not the type of weirdness that J.D. Vance would prefer. Thank you, A-Log. And Hamner Hack wrote, I was on a different from usual system and typed FuMPCast Podcast into the search bar, and all I could get was videos on repairing hand crank water pumps. How does that work? Well, you see, the word FuMP is a made-up word, and autocorrect and these AI, autofill things assume you mean pump. So they're going to send you to water pumps, I guess. And yeah, the official title of this podcast is the Funny Music Podcast. So if you type FuMPCast, you're not going to find it. Which, I don't know whether that was a mistake or not, but yeah, whatever. Ain't changing it now. We're 700 and some odd episodes in. All right. That's all the feedback we got.
Word.
So...
Teasing. He's a teasing kind of guy. Now you have a job.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's song is by Trevor Walls, although he seems to have changed the name of his act to Trevor Goober. So the tomorrow song will be by Trevor Goober. We're going to have a bonus Sunday slot this week by Lauren Mayer. Woo-hoo. And
Tuesday song is not yet posted.
So we'll have to see what happens for Tuesday. All right. Need a topic for this week's Spotify playlist. Any suggestions?
Hopelessness and despair.
There are a lot of those songs in a funny way.
There's Deteriorata by National Lampoon. Don't know if that would be on Spotify.
Maybe, I don't know.
There's I Don't Matter by Worm Quartet.
Oh, yes.
The Old Philosopher Song by, I can't remember.
I'll look it up.
Oh, man, I can't believe I can't remember that guy's name. I don't know.
I think the
Virtually Anything by Jonathan Colton. All
yeah.
his songs are about sad things that do sad things.
The Belle Isle Rats have a song called Stupid Future, which I think would work. All right, yeah, we might have enough here. All right, cool. All right, so the Belle Isle Rats.
And if I can't remember if this is on Spotify or not, but Tony Goldmark's Positive Upbeat song, have that be the last one on the playlist.
Okay. Oh, Bright Side of Life.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Belle Isle Rats are at belleislerats.com. David W Jacobsen is, I believe, at davidwj.com or .bandcamp.com. David W Jacobsen. Let's Google and find out. davidwj.com is his URL. All right. Let's get out of here. Thank you for listening to the Funny Music Podcast. I'm Devo Spice.
I'm Luke Ski, and I was going to do other things today, but instead I filmed a video reacting.
Thank you for listening to the Funny Music Podcast. You can listen live every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific at DementiaRadio.org and join us in the chat. Or subscribe to the podcast feed. Look us up on iTunes and be sure to leave us a review. Feedback for the show can be sent to info@thefump.com. The Funny Music Podcast is a production of Fidem Interactive, LLC, released under a Creative Commons share-alike license. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, shout it to random people on the street, and be sure to visit thefump.com for the latest funny songs. Tune in next week where you'll hear Luke Ski say,
I failed the Kobayashi Maru 17 times, motherfucker!